A Florida woman shot and killed a man who was armed and trying to break into her apartment. Now the apartment complex is evicting her and her roommates, saying that she broke her lease by owning and firing a weapon. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We have yet another case of a young woman defending herself and her property and then facing eviction because of it. This time it's in Florida because apparently one video on Florida this week just wasn't enough. But before I get into the details here, this video is brought to you, of course, by Blackout Coffee Company, who not only supports this channel and your rights, but made sure that my mom brain was awake, functional, and kept the nat 20s coming in my D&D session last night, because I am, after all, super cool. Blackout has an amazing selection of coffees, teas, and hot chocolates, and even has special partner roasts that donate proceeds to your favorite gun rights groups like GOA, FPC, and the Second Amendment Foundation. So head on over to blackoutcoffee.com/libertydoll, and for their Easter sale, you can use code EASTER at checkout for 20% off. About a week ago, police were called to the Carlton apartment complex in Fort Myers, Florida around 11:45 p.m. The caller said that an armed intruder was trying to break into her apartment and that she had fired one shot. When police arrived, they found 28-year-old Juan Diego suffering from a gunshot wound. They did try to administer aid, but he died on the scene. Once police investigated, they determined that Diego not only lived at the complex, but had an apartment number similar to the one he was trying to enter, though that still doesn't really explain why he was trying to enter it with a gun at midnight. The police are investigating it as a stand your ground case and so far have not filed any charges or made any arrests. Now, because of the circumstances, residents are questioning whether or not this was all just a big misunderstanding, but again, Diego was armed with a gun, and even if he had no ill will, the women inside obviously didn't know that. But it turns out that none of that really matters because now a concerned parent of one of the women living in the apartment spoke to local Fox 4 and told the news outlet that his daughter and her roommates were served with an eviction notice over the incident, saying that they broke their lease because one of them owns a gun. Stuart Lurie says that his daughter was already pretty shaken up by the attempted home invasion and now got a 7-day notice to vacate. He provided a copy of the letter to Fox 4, which says that the women have to leave due to prohibited conduct. It reads, "You, your occupants or guests, or the guests of any occupants may not engage in the following activities: engaging in or threatening violence, possessing a weapon prohibited by state law, discharging a firearm in the apartment community, displaying or possessing a gun, knife, or other weapon in the common area in a way that may alarm others, engaging in criminal activity that threatens the health, safety, or right to peaceful enjoyment of others in or near the apartment community, regardless of arrest or conviction. Any violation of this paragraph shall be a material breach of this lease and will entitle us to exercise all rights and remedies under the lease and law." Lurie says that his daughter isn't planning to fight the apartment complex, but one has to wonder why they wouldn't make an exception to this situation. What if the man had gotten inside and shot one of the women or assaulted them in some way? Would they have been held liable for their no weapons policy? If the management company and property owners don't allow residents to defend themselves, do they have armed security there 24/7 on site? I highly doubt it. Do residents have to allow themselves to fall to physical harm and even face the possibility of death just to maintain their lease? That is a pretty steep price to pay, if you ask me. Now, Fox 4 reached out to the complex for a comment, but hasn't gotten a response. The Carlton still has some time to do the right thing, but as of this morning, the women only have 2 days left to vacate. Now, of course, private companies and private property can kind of do whatever they want if they decide that they don't want guns on premises, but I feel like it's a little bit different when it is someone's living situation and they are otherwise completely legal and law-abiding for exercising their Second Amendment rights. Even if you agree with the apartment's decision, 7 days is not much time to find a new apartment. Now, when I covered a similar case that happened down in Dallas, that woman did end up getting to stay in her apartment because a state representative got involved, and now they are working on a law to stop landlords from evicting people over self-defense. But there is the question of why we need a law like that in the first place. Now, there have been court cases around similar incidents where the courts did rule in favor of the tenants and say that, you cannot tell people in their lease that they cannot exercise their Second Amendment rights. However, those were all in housing and urban development housing complexes. Other cases are challenging those rules in other low-income and Section 8 and even federal housing. However, as far as I know, this apartment complex is not that kind of case. All right, everyone, you know the drill for all of the algorithm things, and say hello to the toddler that I can now hear standing at the bottom of the stairs and screaming for me. So I'm gonna dip out. As always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there and happy shooting.